Welcome to the official FIU Honors College podcast, Panthers Unleashed. I am your host, Massiel Gonzalez. Join us as we dive into the stories, passions, and discoveries of our boldest students, faculty, and alumni. Let's dive into today's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Panthers Unleashed, the official podcast of the FIU Honors College. I'm your host, Massiel Gonzalez, and today's episode is an especially meaningful one for our FIU community. This President's Day, we are honored to welcome Ms. Jeanette M. Nuñez, the 7th President of Florida International University. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
As always, guys, I always fill you in on our guests. And although President Nuñez is obviously everywhere and is our president, here's a little bit more info if you don't know about her. President Nuñez is a two-time FIU alumna and in the university's 53-year history, the first woman to ever serve as president, making this moment not only historic, but deeply personal for FIU. Today, we'll be discussing her journey as an FIU student and alumna, her path through public service, her vision for FIU as the #1 ranked public university in Florida, and the legacy she hopes to build for future generations of Panthers. President Nuñez, thank you so much for coming on Panthers Unleashed.
Great. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. I feel like this was such a perfect day to do the episode since it's President's Day. So happy President's Day to you. And thank you for everything you do for our university. So beginning, as I mentioned in the quick bio, you are a two-time FIU alumna and now the 7th president of the university. What does it mean to you personally and professionally to lead FIU, especially as the first woman to hold this role?
Well, first off, it's an honor to be here, and I'm really excited to be able to talk a little bit about my past, the present, and of course the future.
Yes.
As a two-time alum, as I was walking here, I sort of got flashbacks because I would have classes here from time to time in DM, and really it was just a really special time at the time I was a student here alongside my now husband of 30 years, but we took classes together here, and just to see the university, how it's grown and what it's become, and how important and meaningful it was to me and my family. It's been a tremendous journey, and I'm so privileged today to be president of the university. Like you mentioned, first alum, to be able to come back and lead the university to the next steps and new heights. And I think really it's that personal connection. Everything that happens to the university, I look at it through the lens of what it would have meant to me as a student. And then, fast forward, I was also a mom. So, I have a daughter that graduated from the Honors College and have a son currently attending, and hopefully my other son will be attending soon. So I look at it from the perspective of, not just me, but my own children and so many students. Every time we have graduation, it instills in me a sort of passion that we need to continue to keep pushing the university forward, because those students that walk across the stage, this university means something impactful for them and their families and our community and our state. And so as we look at the future for FIU and we look to where we're headed and what we're doing, #1 already, public university in the state university system based on performance, #1 Wall Street Journal, #1 in economic mobility, top 15 innovative, and I really feel like the future for us, there is no limits. I feel like we're going to be able to continue to push the envelope. We're going to provide not just the great educational experience, but also that economic engine for our students, for their families, for this community, and I do feel like we're in a great place, and I'm excited to be at the helm right now.
No, I feel like it's very special, you being an alum and being our president now, because it just shows how strong the FIU community is. I feel like we all support each other and come back and are always trying to better the university. We have a lot of alum who come back and want to, better things for our students, and especially in the Honors College and also our, university as a whole. And as you mentioned, FIU is now ranked as the #1 public university in Florida. From your perspective, what factors most contributed to this rise, and how important was it for FIU to gain a greater national recognition?
Well, first and foremost, everything happens because of a great team, right? So no one person was responsible for FIU's ascent, and no one person will be responsible in the future. You have to continue to build the teams, the people that are accountable to our students, faculty, etc. And so we've had great success over the last several years, and that really has been focused on the student experience. And that means making sure that when we admit that new cohort of freshmen that start in the fall, that they're prepared, that they're ready, that people are engaged with them, everything from advising to the deans and the faculty. We want that experience to be great, not just from an academic standpoint, which we provide, but also holistically that experience. And so you mentioned alums. They're a big part of our success moving forward. We have close to 350,000 alumni throughout the country, throughout the world. And just earlier today, I met with one of our law school alums. He's been doing very well and doing a great job at his law firm, and he was talking about how he seeks out FIU lawyers to hire them. And so it's a beautiful thing when you see the ecosystem of what FIU provides from our alumni standpoint, as it's growing, as it's maturing, as it's becoming more and more successful. We want our alums to come back. And I feel like being an alum myself really lends itself to that connection, to that draw to bring back our alumni onto campus, because every great university has a great alumni base. And we have all the makings for that. We just need to get everyone a little bit more engaged. So if alums are watching this podcast, please come back. Please find a way to get involved. Sure. It's a two-way street. We have to do a good job of reaching out to our alums, but our alums have a responsibility to stay connected.
Of course. And as a, FIU Honors College student and just a student of this university as well, it has made me become even prouder to be a Panther, seeing FIU rise through the ranks, because I feel like FIU has always been a little bit of like an underdog. It's always been that a very powerful school, has great resources, great professors, great faculty, but a lot of people overlook it and, look at other schools that are also great. But it's been very, very nice to see FIU rising through the ranks and getting like that recognition that I feel like it's always deserved.
Yeah, Massiel, I couldn't agree more. I think oftentimes, perhaps you're right, FIU has been underlooked, or it's been considered a safety school or a backup choice. And I don't think that's true anymore. I think people are starting to pay attention not only to the value of the degree, but also the opportunities that it affords. And so what good is having a degree from a great institution that you consider to be like your top school if they're not going to provide you the opportunities and the support beyond the graduation stage, which I think is the beauty of FIU. It is that connectivity. It is that ensuring that you have opportunities beyond the graduation stage. And so I feel like we have a great responsibility with our students, and we talked a little bit about making sure our students are well prepared, that we have great advising, the great experience that our students have while they're here. But also I think it's important that we see that relationship with industry and with the private sector and those job opportunities and those internships that are going to translate into something bigger for them.
I completely agree, especially what we're doing with our FIU DC campus. We've provided so many students with amazing opportunities for internships and those opportunities to work in the public sector and to get involved with policy and all of that, which is very good, very hands-on experience that I don't think I've seen in any other school or in many schools.
We definitely do a great job. And so for students that perhaps are listening, if they've considered maybe applying for FIU in DC, I would highly recommend it. Even if, perhaps some students say, well, I'm not interested in working in, in government in DC, but there are so many opportunities within the agencies. I mean, it is just a really great resource, and you get to expose yourself to different networking opportunities. And we know some students that went to DC, they got internships, they got jobs, and they haven't come back. So we love that they're up there representing the FIU banner of alumni in DC, but we have a growing alumni base in other parts of the country, but DC is one of our strongest.
No, I completely agree, and it just shows how much of the academic excellence that we have here at FIU. And critical part of that academic excellence would be, the Honors College. We have students who are part of the Hamilton Scholars Program who get to go to DC and partake in these internships. So the Honors College takes on that role of cultivating academic excellence within students. How do you see the Honors College contributing to the university's mission, and what value do you think the honors students bring to the FIU community as a whole?
Well, I think the Honors College is the centerpiece of academic excellence, and so as we look to grow the Honors College and to continue to enhance existing opportunities, I think it's important to understand what is it that drives students to want to be a part of the Honors College. What are the unique unique things that you as an honors college student feel that this opportunity brings that perhaps some of your peers don't have? And so my hope is that this becomes so competitive, so difficult to get into, that we have students clamoring, and we are able to grow it in a way that not only maximizes the students, but also faculty. How does it create interdisciplinary opportunities, and really is the launch pad for whatever you want to do next. And I know many of our honors college students want to either pursue medical school or law school or graduate education. And my hope is that everyone that goes through the honors college wants to stay right here at FIU to further their educational experience. But in order to do that, of course, we need to ensure that we're investing in all the right aspects of what makes an honors college unique. And I think that FIU does a great job. I just, of course, want to see us promoted a little bit more and make sure that our students understand the value of an honors college education.
No, I completely agree. I feel like the honors college here at FIU does a great job of instilling that community that the FIU university, like the FIU does as a whole already. I feel like the honors college really, instills that in the students. I feel like the honors college community is very strong, and we do have, again, a strong alumni network that comes back, that wants to help students, and even our faculty as well. But as president, you have to make a lot of decisions, and a lot of many decisions, and you have to plan, and you have to, see what is best for a university and for the students as a whole. So what intentional decisions or institutional priorities do you believe helped move FIU to this level of excellence? And how do you plan to sustain that momentum moving forward? Because I feel like we've been going on a streak. We've been doing great in so many different aspects. So I just want to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think, of course, at the heartbeat of our student success is faculty, right? And so recruiting, retaining, and making sure that you have the right faculty in the right colleges, making sure that they are driving that commitment to excellence, which is one of the reasons I announced my SOAR initiative, which stands for Supporting Outstanding Academic Results. And really, I wanted to be a partner. Obviously, as president, I have to make administrative decisions all across the university, and so that's not always specific to faculty, but I wanted to demonstrate my commitment to supporting faculty. And how can I do that? Independently, trying to fundraise, trying to provide additional resources outside the normal course of the university's budget, which is challenging. And we're a state university, and we have difficult decisions, as you mentioned.
I'm sure you have your trials and tribulations.
Budgetary decisions that not everyone can get everything they ask for. And I know budget season's kicking off for all the colleges, and everyone's asking for, additional funds for X, Y, and Z. So as our colleges are going through that process, I figured it would be a good opportunity for me to stand shoulder to shoulder, demonstrating my commitment to doing my part to support when we need to, and in areas that make sense for the university. But I think most importantly, the decisions around the strategic plan, making sure that we're focused, because you can throw a ton of money in different directions, but it's not going to move the needle. So we have to come together as a university and understand, what's good for honors college. It may not be good for engineering, and it may not be good for nursing. But at the end of the day, if we're all able to move in the same direction, move that needle, it helps everyone. And so when we look at the strategic plan and we look at the areas of emphasis, they may not touch every single unit here within the university, but they will absolutely help elevate the caliber and the quality of what we're doing as a university as a whole.
Yes. And continuing on your presidential duties here at FIU, and just getting into how you became a president of FIU and how your journey has led to here, right? You going back to you being an alumna here, you earned both your bachelor's degree and master's degree here. How did your academic experiences, particularly in international relations, political science, and public administration, help you prepare for leadership roles such as lieutenant governor and now president of FIU?
Yeah, I mean, if I can remember that far back of when I was a student. But no, sincerely, I really had a wonderful experience academically. I had great professors. I still remember many of them fondly. In fact, I sought out a couple of them in the political science and international relations department, and I found them, and they had moved on from FIU FIU, but I reached out. Of course, they weren't going to remember me, but I told them I was a student of theirs, and their response was warm, and it was kind, and it was very heartfelt that they took the time to respond to me. And it really brought me back to when I was a student. And again, the academic excellence. They were just great professors that instilled in all of the students in my classes, a desire to think for yourselves, to question, to articulate, to challenge yourself. And so I think that's what really sets us apart. The caliber of our faculty. We want to make sure that our students have access to just world-renowned faculty that, again, is going to challenge students. It's going to put them, in uncomfortable situations sometimes because you have to push yourself. And I know oftentimes your generation gets a bad rap, but I think it's important. I think you all have done, you're finding your own way. And so when you look at students and you look at professors and how they challenge them, and I'm sure you'll think back, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, and say, oh, I remember that professor was such a difficult class. That professor really pushed me to my limits. But I would say really taking advantage of all those opportunities, all those interactions with my professors. If they would open it up to for students to have other outside opportunities, take advantage of that and make sure that you're not leaving anything on the table when it comes to furthering your own career goals. And so when I studied political science, I didn't really know where I was going to end up. Never really thought about running for office at that time, but I had someone here in career planning and placement that said, oh, this job looks like it might be a good fit, and they actually helped me get my first job. And then that kind of, spiraled into something else, and then that spiraled into something else. And here I am, 30 years later, and I was able to do a lot of things that I never thought I would have done, never really sought out to do. But FIU really just opened up the horizons in terms of don't ever close your own doors, right? There are many doors that'll open and close throughout the course of your life, but don't limit yourself. And I think that's really what FIU meant to me. It broadened my opportunities. It broadened my vision in terms of what I would look to do in the future. And so that's, I think the beauty of FIU for so many people.
We've talked about this in other episodes of, opportunities opening up, and just the same thing that you said, like not closing your own doors. I feel like you sometimes have to trust yourself and believe that you can make things happen. And life is also very unexpected. And then going back on the faculty, I feel like that's why a lot of our students here, excel in any profession or career that they decide, and that's why our students really stand out compared to maybe other students from other universities, and we're doing so great. And we have alumni that are doing amazing things, and again, it all goes back to faculty that, the way that they're teaching, and they're having students really tap into those critical thinking skills and question, things that are happening in the world, and be activists and all that. So I think that, again, it all plays a part here. And going back, you had a past of a lot of public service, and you did a lot of public service at the state level. What has it been like transitioning into the role of university president, and how has your background shaped your leadership style here at FIU?
Well, I think the wonderful thing for me, looking back, 30 years, is that I never really veered too far away from FIU. Even though my background, as you mentioned, was in public service, and I started out as a legislative aide, then I went on to work at Jackson Memorial Hospital. I did government affairs, and then I went and worked for another healthcare company, HCA, and then I ran for State House and then Lieutenant Governor. But I always stayed connected, either directly or indirectly with FIU. Number one, because I cared about the university, and I loved my experience here. I came back and taught a course here on health policy. I came back and was a guest lecturer. And so when I was in the legislature serving, I always stayed connected with the university and always supported their priorities and their legislative goals. So I felt like I was always either one step or two steps removed from everything going on at FIU. And, having my own kids attend here was also very special. But, again, I feel like all of that public service this university in and of itself is public service, right? We're helping students achieve their dreams. We're helping this community prepare from a workforce standpoint. And you said something about our students and how they excel and they're really set apart from other students. And I hear that all the time. And it really makes me so proud. No matter where I go, people are like, "Oh, are you president of FIU?" And then they'll say, "Oh, we hire so many FIU students." Yeah. And again, lawyers and accountants and nurses, and they're like, "We love hiring FIU students. Yeah. They've got great work ethic. They've got great drive. They've got great sense of responsibility." And I think that is part of the FIU story. Our students want to better themselves. Our students want to excel. They want to show what sets us apart. And I think, Panther Nation is strong, and I firmly believe the caliber of our students is directly related, of course, to the caliber of our faculty, but just that culture, that mindset here at FIU.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very into the law field. I want to become an attorney and all of that. So I know a lot of attorneys that I've spoken to that they said that they love hiring FIU students into their firm for that same reason, that compared to other students from other schools, FIU students show that they have strong work ethic, that they really want to, better themselves, that they are willing to, that they're such great people all around. So I've definitely heard that as well. Yeah. And completely agree. And as we mentioned in the beginning, we're going to be talking about the past, the present, and the future, right? Yes. And so looking ahead at this year, what are some key goals or initiatives you're most excited to accomplish for FI Unit students? I know you've been doing a lot. I know our football team has been doing amazing.
They did a great job,
yeah, they did a great job. And I know that there's some changes on housing here, and there's a lot of very interesting and exciting things happening. But I want to hear what initiatives you're most excited to accomplish this year.
Sure. Well, I'll touch on some that you mentioned. Of course, there's a lot of projects going on. You've probably noticed that there may be a road closed here and there. There's detours. And so I know students probably get a little frustrated with the traffic. It's a little bit more these days on campus, but that only is a sign of progress. And that means that we have about 5 or 6 major construction projects going on at any given time. And the housing one in particular, it's going to offer up a lot more beds for students. We have over 2,200 students on a wait list today. So that'll cut that down by half. Yeah. And so having more students on campus, I think it's just going to change the vibe of the university. Yeah. And I love that. And I feel like if you live on campus and you're here, you're invested, you're really going to be that much more attached to the university. And then healthcare is a big part of what we're doing. The focus on nursing, public health, and now medicine, of course, is an important part of our strategic plan. It's an important part, I'm certain, of the Honors College. Yeah. But we're going to be building the clinical facility on campus. And so what does that mean? We're going to be a major healthcare provider. We are doing amazing work on research, biomedical researchers that are detecting heart disease with AI. So technology is going to weave in. It's going to be an important focus for the university as we set to become AI first. All this year, I think, is going to be a building year, building on many of the construction projects that are going to bring and drive new interests, but also building on technology and many of the key areas that we are centers of excellence, that we do phenomenal work each and every day. And so I'm most excited about kind of leading some of those new projects and those new initiatives. But really what I'm most excited about, I think, is going to be driving the university in a way that we're going to tout. We're no longer going to be a hidden secret. We're no longer going to be quiet about our success. I'm excited about being able to lead some of those really important key pieces of why FIU is the #1 university in the country. Absolutely.
No, I'm excited just hearing you talk about all this. This all sounds very exciting, especially about the housing. I feel like having more students on campus will definitely bring up that community and we'll have students more engaged, especially since we're having more students here on campus. So I'm very excited to hear all of this new stuff. The detour's a little inconvenient, but it's a necessary evil. It's something that we need to progress and to better our university for sure. And again, FIU is known for providing a lot of access, a lot of opportunities, and upward mobility for students. How do you hope honor students take advantage of the resources and opportunities available to them?
Well, I hope most importantly that honor students will actually mentor some of their peers and some of their colleagues. You all are the leaders within our our leaders, right? And so I think it's important for you all to take that responsibility and take it to the next level. Yes, you're here to get a great education for yourselves, but if in the process you can also serve as mentors or peers that are going to help elevate those that perhaps aren't part of the Honors College. I know oftentimes you get into your silos and you get into your majors, and it's difficult to do a lot of things and multitask in that regard. But I think Honors College students in particular serve as great role models, great ambassadors, and really great supporters of the overall university. And I think that's going to be a special piece for Honors College students. But we're going on all cylinders. We're excited about the future. We're looking forward to driving some of these new initiatives, building on initiatives that we've been known for so many years. Our environmental resilience centers of excellence over on Biscayne Bay campus. I never want to leave them out. I know I'm sure they're watching the blog too, the podcast. Sorry, and so I think that we have so many great things that we are working on, and it's just really for me, it's a special time to be president.
No, and I mean, you're doing a fantastic job as president, and unfortunately, all good things come to an end. So when your time as president eventually comes to a close, what legacy do you hope to leave behind at Florida International University?
You're getting rid of me already.
No, never.
Yeah, well, I hope when people look back at my time and they look at my legacy, that they see that FIU strove for excellence, that FIU continued to rise in the rankings, that FIU became a powerhouse from an industry standpoint. Not only that you were going to get an excellent education, but we were going to drive business, drive opportunity through FIU, that FIU would really be the heartbeat of this community and this state. And so I know that we have a lot of those irons are already in the fire, and now it's just a matter of executing. So
wonderful. I am so happy to have had you here on today's episode. It was such an honor. I know you're very busy. I know this past weekend was the presidential 5K.
Yeah.
I saw that you ran it.
I ran.
It was it looked very fun. And I know that you're always busy. You're going to DC, you're going to Tallahassee. So I really appreciate you taking the time to come and speak to me and speak to all of our audience members, all of our Honors College students. Thank you so much for sharing your insight and your vision and just everything today. It has truly been an honor to have you on Panthers Unleashed.
Oh, really excited to have met you. Happy to be here and looking forward to great things from you.
Oh, thank you so much. And to all of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Panthers Unleashed. Of course, before we end up our episode, I always have to plug in all of our socials. So make sure you follow us on our Spotify and our YouTube, where you can find the podcast on both platforms. And also make sure to follow us at FIU Honors on our Instagram, where you can find all of our amazing opportunities, all of the events that the Honors College hosts, and just any information that we release is going to be through our Instagram. And anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, Panthers, pause up.